Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first Chalk Talk of 2021. Congratulations on making it to Friday. Today is January 15th. It's game day for the Badgers. They're going to take on Rutgers tonight at 8 p.m. Central on FS1, live from the rack. A place Wisconsin has not won in a while, so they're going to try and overcome that hurdle and bounce back from Tuesday. We're gonna get the scoop on what happened on Tuesday. We got Joe Krabbenhoft here, one of the assistant coaches. I'm gonna hold his feet to the fire a little bit, find out what happened in Michigan, turn the page, find out everything we need to know in preparation for tonight's game against Rutgers. Before we do that, a couple housekeeping items. I want to say thank you to all of you for tuning in. However you are part of the Badger family, we say thank you. We not having fans in our venues, not being able to do these events in person is crushing for all of us in the department, from the staff and the coaches to the players. We miss the interaction and your energy so much. So we thank you for investing your time today, following along, watching the game tonight. Financially, if you donate, thank you so much for all that you do. For those of you who are not members of the Badger Basketball Booster Club, welcome. And wanted to give you a little bit of information on what this is. So in normal times, non-COVID times, this would be a Chalk Talk that would happen before a few games every season. And about an hour before the game, one of the assistant coaches would come up to the Nicholas Johnson practice gym and answer questions, give you the scouting report while you have some food and some beer before the game. It's an awesome event, and it's really fun, and it's part of the privileges that come with being a member of the Basketball Booster Club. For a donation of $100 or more, you get access to great events like that, overtime luncheons, golf outings, road trips, things like that. So membership has its privileges, and it's a fun group to be around, and we're very grateful for all the people who donated. It's one of the most successful and biggest and most loyal booster clubs in all of college basketball, and we know that, and we're appreciative for it. We're also extremely appreciative for all of you who Chalk Talk sponsors of this event, those of you who donate. We sincerely appreciate your generosity and your support. For those of you who aren't in the Badger Booster Club and you want more information about joining us, there was an email address that was scrolling. I screwed up the order here just a minute, but there was an email address scrolling across the bottom. You can contact Laura Strang. That email address, LJS, there it is, at athletics.wisc.edu. So we'll pass on that and now move. Thank you again. Now you're going to see some of the sponsors scrolling at the bottom of the screen, and we're just grateful for all of you who are a part of our booster club. So let's preview tonight's game just a little bit. Let's get a status report on where Wisconsin is. 10-3, ranked number 9 in the country, coming off a Big Ten championship a season ago that filled us with such great heights, took us to such great heights. Something interesting I looked up, Wisconsin went 22-7 in the 2020 calendar year. So 2020, by all accounts, pretty forgettable year for us all. But for this basketball team, they had the most wins and the best winning percentage of any team in the Big Ten. And only Kansas and Baylor had more wins in 2020 among major conference teams than Wisconsin. That's pretty cool. So here we are, though, in this season, a new opportunity. Wisconsin has been really good so far. Forget about Tuesday's performance. That was an outlier. We all know it was. But Wisconsin's been really good efficiency-wise on both offense and defense. In fact, they're in the top 11 in the country in both of those. That's rarefied air. They've got the balance that we've seen in all the senior leadership. Three-point shooting, ranked second in the Big Ten, ninth in the NCAA. The defense, again, is one of the best in the country. And turnovers, number 2 in the country. What more do you expect out of a Wisconsin program? So they've been off to a great start, taking us into this game tonight against Rutgers. And now is when I want to introduce our guest, Joe Krabbenhoft. You know him well, Badger great, and now he is in his 4th season on the bench. Joe, how are things in Piscataway, New Jersey, first of all?
Thanks for having me, Patrick. Well said. Good introduction, and thanks for everybody for tuning in and listening. Things are going okay. It's no snow falling from the sky like many of you back in Wisconsin, but we're looking forward to being home after a 5-day road trip. But certainly want to get on that plane tonight after a great win and a little bit of a redemption for our guys in our program.
Okay, let's start there. We got to address the elephant, the Wolverine in the room. So we watched it on TV. What happened Tuesday night? Give me your take from a coaching perspective.
Well, I like what you said. we gotta forget about that one. It was an anomaly. We'll move past it with a few more choice words and a few more meetings. That was the message that we had to send, because that's not us. That's not who we are. But I think the first thing, credit to Michigan. I think that's a name you'll see that we're going to have to battle for something at the top at the end of the year. Hopefully, that's a very good team, an improved team, very similar players, similar names that we saw last year that have gotten better. So we'll remember that one, and I think they remembered one from the Chrysler Arena from the year before, and they played with an edge, and that was their edge. That was to their advantage, and we got to be better on both ends of the floor. A lot can be talked about offensively, same defensively. It's a combination of a lot of those things, and this group, they understand that. They're very coachable. They took ownership. Coaching staff took ownership where we needed to, and it's time to move forward. So we couldn't ask for a better opponent to play after a game like that, because you want to be tested in the things that got you beat: toughness, physicality, taking care of the ball, not letting teams go on runs, and Rutgers is going to challenge us in all those areas.
So this is a unique situation because you guys went straight from Ann Arbor to Piscataway, and virtual class, the team's on break anyway, they wouldn't have class, allows you to do that in 2020, 21. But what has this road trip been like? Because that's abnormal that after the loss, you guys went back to the hotel. Usually it's get on the plane and go home. So talk us through, did you do film in the hotel the next day, I presume, or travel right away? How's it work?
Yeah, it is different. I'm used to it. During my days at South Dakota State, you'd spend a lot of days on the road playing games like this or road trips like this. So, but it wasn't during a pandemic. So that whole piece has been challenging in itself as well, being on the road and trying to stay as safe as possible as a person and as a program. So, but we have great guidance and leadership there as well. But it's challenging. Everybody wants to be in their comfort zone during a time like this, But like I said, after getting our butts handed to us, getting our butts beat by Michigan, it's a great opportunity for us to be on the road, to come together. We got nothing but time together with each other. And every meal we're down there getting our food together. We see each other a lot. So a lot of conversation has been had about what we can do collectively as a team to get better. Hopefully this will springboard us, into 2021. You mentioned those numbers in 2020. I guess it wasn't such a bad year after all as it pertains to basketball for the Badgers. That gives you some perspective, and hopefully we can repeat that. But it doesn't happen overnight. It takes moments like we've had on this road trip, a lot of conversation, a lot of soul searching, and that happens with any good team.
So let's talk about tonight's game then. You mentioned that this is a good opponent for us to face because they'll challenge us in some of similar ways, and we can see how much the team has learned. So tell us about Rutgers. Give us a little scouting report. You've watched a ton of their tape, I'm sure, up until this point.
Yeah, I've had the Rutgers scout for some years now, and Coach Peichel's done a tremendous job of establishing a culture there. And a lot was talked about that the first couple of years, and it's a thing now. No longer does that need to be a talking point. It's an expectation of a certain level of toughness and grit that those guys play with. It's an East Coast flavor, a little different. Their guys are wired a little different. That we see that in recruiting all over the country. East Coast players got a little edge to them, and they play like it. But familiar names in Ron Harper Jr., Geo Baker, Miles Johnson, a point guard named Jacob Young, who was there a year ago, but has completely transformed his game and is playing at a high level. So they're explosive. Maybe in the past they were just, it was going to muck it up and it was going to be a rock fight, and they were going to, low possession, low turnovers, and you better capitalize on every opportunity you have. Now this team is pretty explosive offensively. I mean, they got some guys shooting it really well, scoring it well. A lot of guys that will have a chance to be pros when it's all said and done. So they have a ton of talent. So it's a really good team. But like us, we're a really good team too. They've had their stumbles. They've lost 3 out of 4. And that's the Big Ten for you, though. And I think everybody's going to hit their stretch or have those moments, have those games. And the good thing about basketball, I don't know how the football coaches do it. Sit on tough games for a week. We got 48 hours, and we get to be back at it tonight.
So playing at the rack tonight, you've had practice there, I think, the last 2 days, and been able to maybe get a little more comfortable than teams have in the past. Since Rutgers joined the conference, Wisconsin's been really good against Rutgers, except for at the RAC. They beat them in the Big Ten tournament. They beat them in Madison Square Garden, undefeated at the Kohl Center, but 0-3 at the RAC. So, in your estimation, what is it about it? Is it is it the team and the jerseys instead of the building?
Well, you know why we lost last year at the RAC, Patrick? Because I was
Tell me.
watching the game. I was watching the game at home on my lazy boy, holding my torn Achilles up.
That's right. I forgot you missed that
They
trip.
went. Henry, our trainer, and our doctors, after I popped my Achilles on the day the plane was leaving to go to Piscataway, New Jersey, I popped my Achilles and I couldn't get on the plane because they said it would swell up too much and I needed surgery in a hurry. So I watched the game at home from my couch, and I got to experience what all of you do, yelling at a TV, screaming at the officials, and it was just I don't want to ever do that again, but hopefully my presence here maybe will be the difference. I don't know. No, that's not true, but I didn't experience that loss last year.
I'm dying to know. Did you watch it with your family, or did you like hole up in a dark room so you could just focus on the game and not have little kids running around? Because you got 4 of them at home.
I got 4 little kids. To keep them in one area during a 2-hour game is nearly impossible, no matter how important it was to me. So I had my boys there, and my wife always texts me during games. Our sons, they're crazy. They're like you, Joe. They're yelling at the TV. We need to do something about this. I was like, oh, they can't be that bad. They're 6 and 8 years old. Sure enough, I found out those boys are pretty into it. I was spending a lot more time trying to calm them down than I was trying to focus on my text messages at halftime to the coaching staff.
Yeah, the RAC seems like it's a place that weird things happen. The year that Wisconsin went to the national championship game, that team was almost unbeatable, but they lost at the RAC. Frank Kaminsky didn't play; he had a concussion, and Trayvon Jackson broke his foot in that game. And it's strange things happen in that building. But
well, the fans are now the fans are great there, but they're all cardboard cutout fans, and they won't be as loud. So it's a little different. And one of the cardboard cutouts, believe it or not, folks, is Brian Butch's head in the stands here tonight. We found him up in a corner, like 100 feet away from the court. Somebody goes, "That looks like Brian," and somebody walked up there, and it is. Why is Brian Butch's head in the RAC?
I'm guessing it's because he called a game there on Big Ten Network, and they wanted to put it up there as to pay homage to the announcer or something. I don't know. He's just a legend. That's Brian Butch. So let's talk a little bit about playing on the road during this pandemic. So the Kohl Center environment is a great home environment. Our fans, light that place up, and it's one of the reasons our home record is so good. What do you, as a coach, what's your perception of? Is there a home court advantage in 2020-21?
I think there still is. It's certainly not the same. Nothing is the same. But there's the advantage of just being comfortable in your environment, sleeping in bed you're used to at your dorm or at your apartment. Your locker room's a little more comfortable. The meals are routine. You know what you're going to get. You know what to expect. So life on the road is definitely an advantage for the home team, I guess I would say. But we try to flush all that out, and we try to focus on what we can control. We're gonna play road games. We're gonna have another long road trip in just a couple of weeks. So talk about the things, they become excuses, and we just can't have that, because you're going to have to win some road games if you want to compete for championships in this league. And we've been able to do that as a program for a long time. And it's the everyday consistent approach that the leaders have taken, and Coach Ryan, who I played for, and Coach Gard now, just doesn't have a lot of talk with the players about those things. We're here to do a job, and we're here to do it together. And I think that simple-minded approach, although it's I wish I had some magic answer for you. I think it's been successful for us, but certainly different being on the road at a Michigan State. I'm not putting an asterisk next to that one. I don't care what anybody says. That's my first win, 4 years as a player, and probably 5 or 6 as a coach ever at the Breslin Center. So there is no asterisk.
That's right. Just like Maryland's not going to put an asterisk when they won at the Kohl Center. Give them the win. Those are real basketball games. So yep. I don't mean to make excuses either, but everything is flipped upside down for these student athletes, and you guys as coaches too, but certainly for these student athletes this is not a typical year. We know that. But so you guys, you're going to get tested for COVID either tonight when you get to the arena, or you already did this morning. I'm not sure the schedule for today. And as long as everybody's negative, you'll play the game. Every night we're seeing games postponed. Can you give a little window into how just what these guys' lives are like right now and in playing through a pandemic?
Well, I think first of all, we're fortunate to have the people we do here in our program, and our guys have such great perspective of understanding what this country's going through, what the world's going through. Each and every one of you have something you've had to overcome over these last, almost 12 months now, and we understand that, and we know we're playing a game. But this game is life to our guys, and it's important to them. And they were stripped of playing in an NCAA tournament because of the pandemic and finishing off what was set to be a great finish for these guys. So they're hungry. They want to be able to have as normal of a season as possible, and that's hard to come by. We were tested here this morning, and we were all negative. So positive report there, negative test results, and it's living day by day, hour by hour, and that's tough when we're trying to forecast and look ahead and plan ahead. But you just can't do that. You got to appreciate the moment, live in the moment, and do your best. But I think our guys have done a great job of really teaching even me and our staff, and hopefully all of you, how special it is to have these guys playing. And they're so thankful to our medical staff, our administration, people who've put in a lot of work and a lot of time to make this possible for them.
We got a bunch of listener, viewer submitted questions that I want to try and get through some of these, Joe. The first one is kind of strategic and tactical a little bit, that they're asking about the unique situation that Wisconsin has of having two really accomplished post players in an era where the game is pretty wide open in college basketball, but Nate Reavers and Micah Potter. What's the strategy on playing them together, when not to play them together? Because we saw it some last season and then again this season. When do they play together, when not? And how does the coaching staff decide when it's appropriate to do it or not to do it?
Well, I think the first thing with that is those are two great players. And are they traditional post players? No, they shoot the ball so well that they're so versatile that we can play them together at times. I think it's a game by game, situation by situation decision that our staff and Coach Guard has to make. And a lot of times that is made on the defensive end of the floor. Occasionally it'll be offense, but the Wisconsin program's always been defensive minded first. And the game is changing. Like you mentioned, there's not a lot of teams that can play two bigs together. We're one of them because they're so skilled on the offensive end that we can. Teams can't. Just because we have two guys that are 6'10 and 6'11 doesn't mean they can plug up the paint and really jam things up. That's what happens when you play two bigs. Sometimes offense is hard. It's a little more difficult for us on the defensive end of the floor, specifically against certain opponents like tonight. I think it's going to be tough. We'll try, because we try to gain an advantage. That's what we do as coaches. What can we do to gain an advantage and put our team in positions to be successful? But sometimes that's not to have them on the court, and we believe that to be our advantage. And those are decisions we got to make and we got to live with. And the fortunate thing is our guys understand that they're doing what's best for the team and the program. All these guys have goals and dreams and aspirations, but at the forefront of that is for this team and for Wisconsin to have success. So it's been a blessing to coach them, and I think the more we can get our best players on the floor, the better. And we're fortunate that we got a lot of good ones.
Okay, another question that was submitted: 6 seniors on this roster. The NCAA has come out and said that this year is a non-counter towards eligibility. It's a redshirt year in essence for everyone. Have you heard of any of our seniors talking about plans for next season? I know there's a lot of basketball ahead, but have you had conversations with them, or have any of them started talking a little bit about, I'm thinking about it, coming back to Wisconsin?
It's a thing. I mean, it's obvious. I mean, if people are submitting that question, they obviously know. So our guys clearly know that it's an opportunity or an option for them after the year. I still think there's so many variables that are coming our way that could change that decision, which they don't have their mind made up yet. None of them do on what their plan is. But if they did, it could change by tomorrow night.
Sure.
That's the way the world has gone, specifically as it relates to sports and college basketball right now. So we just have taken a wait and see approach. Keep it in the back of your mind. Let's have a conversation. If you have questions, we'll answer them as we go here. But those answers may change. So let's continue the conversation. And a big piece of that, though, is academics. A lot of these guys are already in grad school or finishing up grad school, or how many courses can we find them, or how many degrees can you really get? And those are a lot of a list. There's a list of things that we have to answer, and that'll happen when the time is right. So to answer your question directly, no one has made up their mind.
Sure. So people always want to talk about next year, even though this season has a lot left in front of us. But so a bunch of our questions are to topics for next year. So indulge us, if you will, Joe, on a couple of them. One is the point guard position next year. So let's presume, let's say that Demetra Trice and Brad Davison and Trevor Anderson exit the program. Maybe they come back. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if the Big Ten would let Brad Davison back in the program. Other teams, the conference would. Other teams would be like, no way, get him out of our conference. He's too good. Same with Trice, the way he's playing. What does the point guard position look like in your mind for next season?
Well, obviously, we signed a great one in Chucky Hepburn, and we're very excited about him. And for you fans that have been following some of the recruiting, he's had a phenomenal year, and he's coming off a state championship a year ago. So we're excited about his prospects. But that position as a freshman can be challenging, and so we're hopeful that he continues to get better and work, and we can't wait to get our hands on him and work with him. And but I think Johnny Davis is going to continue to develop his game, and he's a guy that I think we got to keep finding ways to get the ball in his hands, and it's not going to happen overnight. He's got to put in a lot of work and a lot of effort, but that's what he wants. He wants to be able to develop his overall game and position himself to do some big things here. So he's another guy that you can look at to plug in there. And Tyler Wall, we haven't seen everything he can do, and he's a great role player right now for us, because he's doing whatever the team needs, and that won't change. And what the team needs next year may be a little more ball handling. So we're always looking to help our guys that we currently have and position them to be successful, but also looking out on the recruiting trail. This is going to be a new era that we're entering with the transfer world, and everybody's going to have a one-time, potentially, I guess it hasn't been confirmed yet, but there's the potential of a one-time transfer rule, meaning anybody can transfer once and be immediately eligible. So that brings in a whole new ball game, and something that our staff and every staff in the country is going to look at and try to take advantage of, and help their team moving forward. So there's a lot of options on the table. It's a very important position, but I like the future of it. I really think Chucky Hepburn's a tremendous player, and he's got all the leadership qualities that you want.
And a name you didn't mention either is Lauren Bowman, who is part of the program this season, and he's on leave, personal leave, back in Michigan. And I assume we know he's probably not rejoining the team this season, and you may not have much of an update on Lauren, but I know the program is still in communication with him, and hopefully he can rejoin the program at some point, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for bringing that up. And Lauren's at home, doing the best he can to get himself in position to join us as soon as possible. And we're always in communication with him and hoping for the best. So he's definitely part of our plans if that's what is best for him in his future.
So you mentioned recruiting. So next year's class has Chucky Hepburn, Matthew Morris, and Chris Hodges. Let's say the program wanted to add a fourth kid to that recruiting class. I don't know if that's been reported or anything, but let's say they did. What kind of recruit would they be looking for with that fourth scholarship?
It's a good question. I appreciate it. And anytime you can find some size with a great skill set. We played a guy, you guys, Franz Wagner, Mo Wagner's brother. He played for Michigan. If you can find a guy like that, we'd love to take him. And
sure.
We're always looking for the ability to shoot the ball. We got some tremendous playmakers. I mean, Johnny Davis is going to be able to really suck the defense in, and the more you can surround a guy like that with the knockdown shooter in a position where you can play multiple positions and you're long and athletic, we're always looking to add those guys.
Yeah, good. All right, good. Thanks for playing along with my game, and maybe someday somebody will sign an NLI that fits some of those attributes. Hey, a couple other quick questions that we got submitted. Let's go back in time. let's talk about some of your glory days from your playing time. Joe, what was a favorite game you played in? And then give me your favorite game that you've coached in.
Favorite game I played in. I mean, winning championships is something that just goes right to the top of my list. And the night leading up to the clinching win, or the conference championship clinching game versus Penn State my junior year at the Kohl Center, we're watching the games that night play out. And if Illinois could beat Purdue, Purdue would be a full game back of us going into a game versus Penn State at home. And then because we wanted to be able to clinch it at home, clinch the Big Ten title at home. So we're watching the game as a team in my apartment, going crazy. And I think Illinois beat Purdue. That was Hummel and all those guys. So they had one more loss. So what we had to do was beat a Penn State team at home. And that game, just everything lined up. I mean, we did to Penn State what Michigan did to us last night. We ran them out of the gym from the start, and we got to have a trophy presentation on the Kohl Center floor, and fans rushed it. And those are moments I'll never forget. And what was the second?
Even Tanner Bronson hit a 3 in that game. I remember right at the end.
Yeah, good old
the second one, favorite game you coached in.
Favorite game I've coached in. Well, I think the best is yet to come. I think this group will give us some great memories here, maybe even real soon. But last year at Indiana, I just watched a clip of it with the recruit this afternoon. We have a nice little clip of the locker room scene, a video, not of me dancing, but of the presentation, and that brought back some great memories. I mean, I'm a sucker for college basketball history, and Assembly Hall, Bobby Knight, looking up at the 5 championship banners, to do it there. And that's not to knock an Indiana fan or Indiana faithful. That's just how much respect we have for that program, to win a title on that floor. And me and Orlando snuck around and cut some nets down that we weren't supposed to. No, that's by far and away the best memory. That locker room, what that team had to go through, who we were playing for, what we were playing for. I think you guys all know, Coach Moore and his family were the reason behind that inspiration that team had, and the inspiration we'll all have going forward in our lives. So a moment that still gives me chills thinking about it.
Joe, you've been generous with your time. I want you to go back and finish scouting Rutgers. I'm sure you got more preparations you could do. I don't want to be the reason that we held you up for tonight. Last thing, though, give us something to keep an eye on, that if this goes well, you like our chances tonight. Is it rebounding, protecting the ball, whatever? You tell me. Give us something.
Yeah, it's a lot, but
I want one thing.
I think our defense is going to show up tonight. I think we'll be able to stop them, to shut them down, and that's not going to be easy. They're a very talented group. So that first word you said, rebounding. It's going to be a physical game. These guys will push and shove and scrap and crawl, and we got to be willing to run to that fight, not run away from it. And I expect our guys got a little motivation here tonight, and let's see how well we can rebound the basketball.
Awesome. Joe, thanks for your time. Thanks, everybody, for watching and being a part of this tonight. Again, if you are a member of the Badger Booster Club, thank you for being a part of our family. If you're not and you're interested, email Laura Strang, ljs@athletics.wisc.edu. And good luck tonight, Joe. Come back with a win over Rutgers.
All right. Thanks, Badger fans. Take care.